They say a penny saved is a penny earned, but what if I told you that some of those copper coins sitting in your collection or even your spare change jar might be worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, of dollars? I'm not exaggerating. Today, we're diving deep into three of the most extraordinary Lincoln cents that have numismatists and collectors fighting to add them to their collections. These aren't just rare coins, they're pieces of American history that tell fascinating stories about our nation's past while potentially holding life-changing value. Let's begin with a coin that looks ordinary at first glance but hides an extraordinary secret. The 2000 Lincoln cent, a seemingly common coin that most people wouldn't look twice at. But within this year's mintage lies one of the most valuable modern errors in American numismatics. The year 2000 marked the dawn of a new millennium. While the world worried about Y2K computer meltdowns, the United States Mint was busy producing billions of Lincoln cents, over 8.2 billion to be exact. But among this massive production run, something unusual happened at the Denver Mint. A small number of cents were accidentally struck on blanks intended for dimes. These blanks, officially called planchets, are usually carefully sorted by size and composition before striking. But in rare instances, the wrong blank makes it through the system. The 2000 Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet created what experts call a wrong planchet error, one of the most desirable types of mint errors among serious collectors. What makes this particular error so special? First, there's the visual distinction. These pennies appear noticeably smaller than regular cents, they're the size of a dime but with Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile. The copper-nickel composition of the dime planchet gives these cents a silvery appearance rather than the expected copper color, creating an immediately striking visual contrast to ordinary cents. Then there's the rarity factor. Estimates suggest fewer than 50 examples of the 2000 cent on dime planchet exist, with some experts putting the number even lower, perhaps just 15 to 25 confirmed specimens. This extreme scarcity drives much of the value. If you're wondering how to identify one in your collection, there are several telltale signs beyond the obvious size difference. A regular 2000 penny weighs 2.5 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. The wrong planchet error weighs approximately 2.27 grams and measures just 17.9 millimeters across. Due to the smaller planchet, the design is noticeably cut off around the edges, Lincoln's head might appear incomplete, and parts of the lettering around the rim may be missing entirely. The market value of these rare errors has steadily climbed over the past 2 decades. In 2003, these error coins were selling for around $3,000 each. By 2010, that value had doubled to approximately $6,000. Today, a 2000 cent on dime planchet in uncirculated condition can command between $10,000 and $15,000 at auction. In 2019, a particularly well-preserved specimen graded MS-65 by PCGS sold for an astounding $17,625 at a heritage auction. What makes this error particularly fascinating is that it happened during a time of increased quality control at the U.S. Mint. The late 1990s and early 2000s saw significant technological improvements in the coin production process, making substantial errors increasingly uncommon. This makes the 2000 cent on dime planchet something of an anachronism, a major error occurring when such mistakes should have been nearly impossible. There's also an interesting historical connection here. The year 2000 was the last full year of production for Lincoln cents bearing the original reverse design featuring the Lincoln Memorial, which had been used since 1959. Starting in 2009, the Mint would introduce the first of 4 new reverse designs celebrating Lincoln's bicentennial, followed by the Union Shield reverse used today. This places the 2000 error cents at an interesting transition point in American coinage history. Condition plays a crucial role in determining the value of these error coins. Most examples were discovered in bank rolls or circulation, so they typically show some wear. Specimens in mint state are exceedingly rare, with grades above MS-64 considered conditional rarities. Even a 1-point difference in grade can mean thousands of dollars in value. For instance, an MS-63 example might sell for $9,000, while an MS-65 could fetch $15,000 or more. For the discerning collector, authentication is absolutely essential. Because of their high value, these errors have been targets for counterfeiters. Some unscrupulous individuals have been known to file down regular pennies or alter other coins to mimic this rare error. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate these coins and protect buyers from fraud. What makes this wrong planchet error particularly compelling is its accessibility. Unlike many valuable numismatic treasures that were rare from the moment of their creation, these coins entered circulation alongside millions of ordinary cents. This means that theoretically, anyone could have received one in change, stored it away without realizing its value, and might still have it today. It's the numismatic equivalent of a lottery ticket potentially sitting in your coin jar. There's also the human element that makes these errors so fascinating. Someone at the Denver Mint made a mistake that day, perhaps a tired worker at the end of a long shift, or maybe a mechanical sorting failure. That simple human or mechanical error created a numismatic treasure that continues to captivate collectors 2 decades later. For the serious collector, the 2000 cent-on-dime planchet represents something beyond mere financial value. It's a tangible piece of mint history, concrete evidence of the complex process of coin production and the occasional glitches in the system. In an increasingly digital world where money exists primarily as numbers on screens, these physical artifacts of currency production hold special significance. If you think you might have one of these valuable error coins, examine any 2000 pennies in your collection carefully. Look for the D mint mark beneath the date, indicating Denver production, significantly smaller size, silvery appearance, and the cut-off design elements. Weigh the coin if possible. That 2.27 gram weight versus the standard 2.5 grams is a key indicator. And if you suspect you have a genuine example, consider professional authentication before celebrating your potential 5-figure discovery. And now we come to our final featured coin, the 1994 Lincoln cent. At first glance, this seems like an unusual choice. After all, 1994 wasn't that long ago, and the mint produced over 13 billion pennies that year between the Philadelphia and Denver facilities. How could such a modern, high-mintage coin possibly be valuable? Well, prepare to be surprised, because within this common date lies a variety so elusive that it commands 5-figure prices when it appears at auction. I'm talking about the legendary 1994 double-die obverse cent, one of the most dramatic double-die errors of the modern era. Unlike minor doubling that requires magnification to detect, the doubling on this coin is immediately apparent even to the untrained eye. It's most visible in the word liberty in the phrase "In God We Trust," where you can clearly see 2 distinct impressions of each letter, creating a bold, shadowed effect. The story behind this remarkable error begins at the Philadelphia Mint. During the die manufacturing process, a hub, bearing the positive design, is pressed multiple times into a die blank to transfer the complete design. Between these impressions, the hub and die should be locked in perfect alignment. However, in this case, there was a slight rotational misalignment between impressions, creating a doubled image on the die. Every coin struck by this die, estimated to be between 20,000 and 50,000 pieces, shows this dramatic doubling. What makes the 1994 double die particularly fascinating is the timing of its discovery. Unlike many famous varieties that were identified years after production, this one was spotted almost immediately. Sharp-eyed collectors began finding examples within weeks of the coins entering circulation, and by February 1994, major numismatic publications were reporting on the new discovery. This early recognition meant that many examples were saved before experiencing wear, yet the variety remained scarce because only a single die produced these errors. The market values for this modern rarity are nothing short of astonishing. Even in circulated condition, a genuine 1994 double die cent typically sells for $300 to $500. In uncirculated condition, prices escalate dramatically. An MS-63 red example might bring $2,500 to $3,500, while premium gems in MS-65 red can fetch $5,000 to $7,000. At the highest end of the grading spectrum, an MS-67 red example sold at a 2018 Heritage auction for an incredible $15,600. That's $16,000 for a penny minted during the Clinton administration. The 1994 double die's status as the most dramatic double die cent since the famous 1955 double die has made it a must-have for serious Lincoln cent collectors. Despite being a modern coin, it has achieved something rare in numismatics: immediate classic status. It's frequently mentioned alongside much older double die varieties like the 1955, 1969, yes, and 1972 as among the most significant in the series. For those hoping to identify this valuable error, there are several key diagnostic features to look for. Beyond the obvious doubling in Liberty and in God We Trust, examine the date carefully. The doubling is less pronounced on the numerals but still visible, particularly on the 9s in 1994. Under magnification, you'll also notice doubling on Lincoln's bowtie and the lapel of his coat. The mint mark area shows no doubling because the P mint mark was added to the die in a separate operation after the doubling occurred. There's also an important cautionary note here for collectors. The dramatic nature of this error and its high value have made it a favorite target for counterfeiters. Some unscrupulous individuals use various techniques to create fake double dies, from mechanical manipulation to digital alteration and restamping. If you believe you found a 1994 double die, professional authentication through a service like PCGS or NGC is essential before celebrating your potentially valuable discovery. The condition factor is particularly interesting with the 1994 double die. Because many examples were discovered quickly and preserved, the population of high-grade specimens is relatively larger than for older doubled die varieties. However, truly pristine gems, MS-66 and above, remain elusive. The copper plating on zinc-core cents is easily damaged, making ultra-high-grade examples of any modern cent a condition rarity. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1994 double die is how it demonstrates the evolving technology at the U.S. Mint. By the 1990s, the Mint had implemented sophisticated quality control measures and improved manufacturing processes that should have made major errors like this exceedingly rare. Yet this prominent double die still occurred, showing that even with advanced technology, the human element and mechanical processes can still produce remarkable anomalies. There's also something uniquely democratic about the 1994 double die. Unlike many valuable coins that were either never intended for circulation or were immediately recognized as special and hoarded, these entered the cash flow of everyday commerce. They were given as change at grocery stores, dropped into vending machines, and jingled in pockets across America. This means that anyone who was handling change in 1994 potentially had a chance to find one, and some lucky individuals did exactly that, turning a 1-cent coin into a multi-thousand-dollar discovery. The 1994 double die also holds lessons about attention to detail and the rewards of numismatic knowledge. The difference between a regular 1994 cent worth exactly 1 cent and a double die worth thousands lies entirely in the ability to recognize those doubled features. It's a compelling argument for studying numismatics and examining your change carefully. Knowledge literally converts pocket change into treasure. For the contemporary collector, the 1994 double die represents something special, a modern rarity with classic status. It bridges the gap between the classic double dies of earlier eras and today's collecting world. It's proof that significant discoveries don't only come from dusty old collections or 19th-century coins, they can emerge from the change in your pocket from a relatively recent transaction. So there you have it, 3 extraordinary Lincoln cents that demonstrate how coins that might seem ordinary at first glance can hold extraordinary value. From the Millennium-era 2000 cent struck on a dime planchet, to the historic 1962 double die from the early Kennedy years, to the modern classic 1994 double die, these pennies represent the incredible diversity and opportunity within numismatics. What makes these coins so compelling isn't just their monetary value, but the stories they tell. Their tangible connections to history, products of human error and circumstance, and reminders that extraordinary things can be found in the most ordinary places. They embody the thrill of discovery that drives so many collectors, the knowledge that a life-changing find could be sitting in a jar of pocket change or passed along as ordinary currency. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist with decades of collecting experience or someone who's simply curious about the coins in your possession, I hope this exploration has inspired you to look at your Lincoln cents with renewed attention. Take out that magnifying glass, check those dates carefully, and remember that in the world of coin collecting, great treasures often hide in plain sight, sometimes disguised as the humblest coin in American currency, the penny. Thank you for joining me on this numismatic journey. If you enjoyed this exploration of valuable pennies, let me know in the comments which coins you'd like me to feature next. Until then, happy collecting, and may your change jar hide treasures beyond your wildest dreams. Now let's shift our attention to another penny that might be hiding in plain sight, the 1962 Lincoln cent. While not as modern as our previous example, this coin has some varieties that can turn a seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change into a numismatic treasure worth thousands. The early 1960s marked a transitional period for the Lincoln cent. The nation was moving away from the post-war economic boom and into the tumultuous decade that would reshape American culture. At the Philadelphia Mint, workers were busy striking over 606 million pennies in 1962 alone, with additional production at the Denver facility bringing the total to well over 1 billion coins. But among these hundreds of millions of pennies, a few exceptional varieties emerged that continue to captivate collectors today. The most sought-after variety from this year is what numismatists call the 1962 double die obverse Lincoln cent. This isn't your everyday coin, it's the result of a manufacturing error during the die-making process. To understand what makes this coin special, let me briefly explain how coin dies are created. The U.S. Mint uses a hub, a positive relief of the coin design, to create multiple dies, negative impressions used to strike coins. Sometimes during this process, the hub and die aren't perfectly aligned between impressions, creating a doubled effect on certain design elements. On the 1962 double die cent, this doubling is most dramatic on the motto Liberty and the date 1962. When examined under magnification, you can clearly see a separate, distinct secondary impression, particularly on the L and B in Liberty. It's not subtle like some double dies, this is prominent doubling that's visible to the naked eye in higher grade specimens. You'll also notice doubling in the date and in the "In God We Trust" motto, though it's most pronounced in Liberty. What makes this variety so valuable is its relative scarcity combined with strong collector demand. Unlike some varieties that might interest only specialists, the 1962 double die has crossover appeal to both Lincoln cent collectors and error enthusiasts. The doubling is dramatic enough to be interesting without requiring extensive numismatic knowledge to appreciate. In terms of market value, this coin has seen impressive appreciation over the decades. In circulated condition, even with significant wear, a genuine 1962 double die cent typically commands $200 to $500, depending on the exact grade. Move into the uncirculated range, and values climb substantially. An MS-63, Mint State 63, example might fetch $1,500 to $2,000, while premium gems in MS-65 or better can bring $3,000 to $5,000. In 2018, a particularly stunning MS-66 red example sold at a heritage auction for $7,200, showing just how much premium collectors will pay for exceptional specimens. But the 1962 double die isn't the only valuable variety from this year. There's also the so-called 1962 small date cent. This variety features numerals in the date that are noticeably smaller than the standard issue. The difference is most apparent when comparing the 2 in 1962. The small date variety has a more compact, tighter 2-digit. This variety is considerably rarer than the regular issue, particularly in higher grades. An uncirculated small date in MS-65 red condition might bring $150 to $300, not in the same league as the double die but still a substantial premium over a common 1962 cent worth just a few dollars in the same condition. For the dedicated collector, finding a high-grade small date can be a rewarding challenge. What makes these 1962 varieties particularly interesting is their historical context. This was a time when the U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce enormous quantities of coins to meet commerce demands. The early 1960s saw coin shortages across the country as economic activity increased and coin-operated vending machines became more prevalent. Under these production pressures, quality control sometimes suffered, allowing these varieties to escape into circulation. There are fascinating condition-based valuation factors at play with 1962 cents as well. With copper coins, the color designation becomes crucial in determining value. Professional grading services classify copper coins as either red, full original copper color, red-brown, partial original color with some darkening, or brown, significantly darkened. For the 1962 double die, the difference between a red and brown example in the same numerical grade can be 3 to 4 times in value. An MS-65 brown might be worth $1,500, while an MS-65 red could fetch $5,000 or more. The hunt for these valuable 1962 varieties has an almost romantic quality to it. Unlike some rare coins that were never released to circulation or were immediately recognized as special and preserved, these pennies spent decades in pockets, cash registers, and coin jars before their true value was widely recognized. This means that undiscovered specimens could still be out there, waiting for the observant collector to identify them. If you're searching your collection for valuable 1962 pennies, here's what to look for. First, check for doubling on the word Liberty using a magnifying glass. Make sure it's genuine doubling and not machine doubling, which appears more as a smeared effect rather than distinct separate impressions. For the small date variety, compare the size of the numerals to other 1962 cents or look up reference images online. Here's an insider tip that few casual collectors know: the 1962 double die cent has a slightly rotated reverse in many cases. This means that if you turn the coin over, from top to bottom, not side to side, the Lincoln Memorial won't be perfectly upside down. This isn't present on all specimens, but it's a supporting diagnostic that experts look for. Another fascinating aspect of the 1962 double die is its discovery story. Unlike many famous coin varieties that were identified almost immediately after production, the 1962 double die wasn't widely recognized until the mid-1970s, more than a decade after it was minted. It was first brought to mainstream collector attention by numismatist Frank Spadon in his Error coin reference books. This delayed discovery means that most examples spent significant time in circulation, making high-grade specimens particularly scarce. There's also something poetically fitting about this coin's timing. The early 1960s represented the last era when people commonly examined their change carefully. Before clad coinage was introduced in 1965, Americans routinely searched through their coins looking for silver. The 1962 double die was circulating at a time when the average person still maintained a connection to their pocket change that has largely been lost in our digital payment era. For collectors of a philosophical bent, these 1962 varieties offer something beyond mere financial value: their tangible connections to a pivotal moment in American history. When these pennies were struck, John F. Kennedy was president, the space race was accelerating, and the Cultural Revolution of the 1960s was just beginning. Holding one of these coins is holding a physical artifact from that transformative time. Whether you're a dedicated numismatist or someone who inherited a coin collection, it's worth taking a second look at any 1962 pennies in your possession. That seemingly ordinary coin might just be an extraordinary variety worth thousands of dollars to the right collector. And even if you don't find a valuable variety, there's something rewarding about connecting with these small pieces of history that have passed through countless hands over 6 decades.